Now, that push from the White House comes as the district's 12-day homicide-free streak unfortunately ended early Tuesday morning.
But crime data from D.C. police shows violent crime is down since the increase in federal control. Sunrise on the Hill's Max Marcilla has been tracking crime in D.C. and joins us live. Max, let's start with the homicide-free streak. That's over. The president claims it's the longest stretch in years, but that's not really true, is it?
Well, Corey and Hillary, that's not the case. We know that a 12-day stretch is significant, but ultimately a 16-day stretch happened earlier this year without a homicide. So no, that was not the longest in years. But again, it is significant. Look, this is a city where a homicide has happened about every other day over the last year. Now, that is the context for the homicide claims. Then you also have the case about violent crime. Preliminary data indicates it is down just over 30% when you compare the 15 full days since the president's announcement with the 15 days prior to it. But it's important to note violent crime was already at a 30-year low when the surge in federal law enforcement was ordered. So again, that's now the backdrop behind which the president has proposed bringing back the death penalty in the district. Here's U.S. Attorney for D.C. Janine Pirro on that effort.
And I think that what the public is seeing is that Washington has been far too violent, one of the most violent cities, unfortunately, in the country. And it is time that we recognize that law and order is back in D.C. and that we will use all legal sanctions and sentences as called for by law.
And while that is a proposal that could run into some legal challenges, there's also the fact that a lot of murders, perhaps most of them in the district, are fought with local law, prosecuted by local prosecutors as opposed to federal. But there are still some murder cases that could have federal charges brought against them. The most recent and high-profile case is the case of Elias Rodriguez, the man who is accused of killing two people outside the Capitol Jewish Museum. He is facing both federal and local charges, and the death penalty is being sought.
Max, let's go back to the violent crime statistics for a moment. Have we heard anything from D.C. police about why they believe crime is falling, both before and now that even more federal officers are on the streets of D.C.?
Well, we know D.C. Chief Pamela Smith has talked about the collaboration between her department and the federal agencies. She didn't really get into specifics. This was last week when she brought it up, because we haven't heard from MPD since the 12-day homicide-free streak. But she did say there was collaboration between the departments, including finding places to deploy those extra resources.